For today's Grimm adventure, we find ourselves in Hollywood, California. Today we're going to be tracking down the exact spots where a series of photos were taken back in 1954 of Hollywood legend Vampira. Now, this video is a video that we've been wanting to do for quite some time, and we found all of the locations except for one. It was probably the most famous photo from this photo series, this one right here. And because of the official Vampira website, Johnny Coffin, we were able to locate it. So because of that, we're finally doing this video. You ready? It's kind of an adventure. It's like a spooky national treasure adventure.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
Now we're starting this video off at Hollywood Forever Cemetery because this is where you'll find the final resting place of Mila Nurmi, who's better known throughout the world as Vampira. I think this is what, the third, fourth, maybe fifth video we've done on Mila Nurmi? But this one's going to be interesting. This is a video that I've never seen anybody do.
Now, 3 short weeks after Vampira's first scary airing, Newsweek magazine told the nation about her Saturday night get-together. After 6 weeks, Life magazine devoted 3 big pages of pictures and story to Vampira. And worldwide publicity in French, English, and Australian newspapers and magazines is now being topped by a full-page spread in the Sunday edition of the New York Daily News. And all because of this sweet, lovable little key named Vampira.
People were just astonished we got into Life magazine.
Which I've seen, which it shows you on the set and in the Vampira character.
Mm-hmm.
And the important thing to remember, I think, for people who might see that reprinted or something, is we're talking about a local show.
Oh, that's unusual, I guess, for a local show.
Yeah, national magazine audience is getting these photos, and most of whom don't have the show available to them, right?
Right, right.
So that's an amazing demonstration of the character's impact.
Oh, yes.
Her theme song is Meet Me.
The sun is being a little much right now. It is 9 o'clock in the morning. The sun is shining, not a cloud in the sky, just an all-around beautiful day. So I decided to walk over to Vampira's grave and stop and visit a few of the other ones near her, like this one here. It says Hull. It always reminds me of like The Haunting of Hill House. Really like that one. And then right over here behind Vampira is the final resting place of Darren McGavin. Like literally right behind her is the vampire killer himself. Also, the dad from A Christmas Story.
It's indescribably beautiful. It reminds me of the 4th of July. Turn off all the lights. I want to see what it looks like from the street.
Looks like somebody made a homemade card. There's the lamp, the famous leg lamp right there in 1922 to 2006, McGavin. Now to give you an idea how close everything is, there's the final resting place of Darren McGavin. And if I walk just a couple steps forward through the trees, there's a rose bush over there. Right up here, actually facing the road, is where you'll find the final resting place of Vampira, Mila Nurmi. Mila Nurmi, 1922 to 2008, Vampira Hollywood legend. I've shown her plot many times on this channel. But every time you come, you gotta come and pay your respects. See some black flowers, there's a spider. There's even some glasses down there on the bottom, right at the base of the headstone.
Young man, who are you? What is this? Won't you come in, Mr. Goble? We can have a nice little... Ow! Don't step on the cat's tail.
I don't see any cat.
Oh, we don't have a cat. Just his tail. Do you mind if I smoke?
No, not at all. Go right ahead.
Thank you.
Again, if you're going to do a video on Vampira, it makes sense to start it at her grave here at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And we have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get started. And it looks like the Ramones ducks are going to pay us a visit real quick. Hi guys. You were in our video last time. It's nice to see you again. No, we're not doing anything on the Ramones. Today it's all about Vampira. But it's nice to see you. So what's the story with these photos? Well, 1954, in preparation for the Vampira show, Vampira herself reached out to Life magazine, and a photographer by the name of Dennis Stock came here to Hollywood, and they put Vampira in a hearse, and she drove all around town from Hollywood to West Hollywood to Beverly Hills, and he photographed her. And these photos became so popular that even today, especially around Halloween, people share her photos on social media. Those are the photos that we're going to locate. And the first stop is right here on Vine Street and Sunset Boulevard. Now here's the thing about this. A lot of the locations that we're going to be visiting are no longer here. They've been torn down and things have been rejuvenated, if you will, updated for the times. But right over here at the corner of Sunset and Vine, you're going to find a bank. It's the Chase Bank, but back in the day, in 1954, the NBC building was here. It was this massive white-walled building. In fact, in the pictures, off to my left is where Vampira would have been parked, and she was photographed with the building right in front of her. They would have been facing it. We drive by this Chase Bank almost every single day, and I've always wanted to get it inside one of the Grimm Life Collective videos because it's really cool. There's a giant tiled mural right there, which actually, upon research, it's the first full-length feature film that was filmed here in Hollywood, made here in Hollywood. That's what it symbolizes. It's actually pretty beautiful. Didn't think that it would show up in a Vampira video, but here it is. Photo stop number 1. Back in the car, Vampira would have drove right through this intersection here, right up Vine Street. She would have made a left up here on Hollywood Boulevard. Well, her driver would have. And keep in mind that these photos were taken back in 1954, so things looked quite a bit different. So this is Selma Avenue. So about 2 blocks up from Sunset. Here we go. Right up there at the stoplight. Get in the turning lane. So this is Hollywood Boulevard, the world famous Hollywood and Vine. Made famous back in the 20s and 30s with radio shows and television. There's the Capitol Records building. Come down this way, you'll see Pantages Theater. The new Amoeba building is down there. And if we look down this way, you can see that mural on the wall there. And those white buildings, right about the center, just behind the palm tree, is the Knickerbocker Hotel. We did a video there. That's where Harry Houdini's last seance was, where his wife held it on Halloween. We are now on Hollywood Boulevard, heading towards Hollywood and Highland, probably one of the most famous intersections here in Los Angeles. And there's a bank up here on the right-hand side. It's on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Cahuenga Boulevard. And that is where the next photo location is. So let me find a place to park. Fun piece of trivia when it comes to Vampira. Tim Burton's Ed Wood, the Vampira scenes when she gets off the bus, were actually filmed right over here in this area, right down this little alleyway. And I forgot about this, but it looks like the Museum of Death in Hollywood is open. This is the location for that. But if we come down here, I just want to peek down the alleyway and show you something really neat. So Cosmo Street is where they filmed the Tim Burton Ed Wood scenes. I'm going to swing over here out into the middle of the street so you can see it. When she gets off the bus scene. And then also where they're working, the film studio is back there. We showed that. I'm going to put the link in the description of this video. But driving down this alleyway, I saw this on the side of Museum of Death. The skulls. See no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. That's fun. Always up for a little creepiness in Hollywood. I figure, since this is a video about Vampira, I should walk up here and talk a little bit more about Tim Burton's Ed Wood. It kind of looks like I'm on a back lot, doesn't it? For Ed Wood, they filmed inside this garage right here, the green and tan one. You can see those 3 lights above the door. And they also had this little parking lot over here that's all fenced off right now. You can see that in the movie as well. Now these aren't the angles. If you want to see all that stuff, like I said, check out our Ed Wood video. It is in black and white. But it's that building. Not the building from the pictures, from Tim Burton's Ed Wood.
Take me to the nearest bar and make it snappy.
It looks like the picture of Vampira was taken from right about here, with that building in the background. She would have either been stopped right at the stoplight or passing through, because the camera, the actual photo, is the back half of the hearse. And in this picture, you can see some elderly folks sitting on a bench watching her pass, and the look on their face is kind of comical. Now, in the photo, there's a man standing about the center of one of those windows that you can see on the first floor. Right now, they're boarded up. And in the picture, if you look very, very closely, the words on the window say something very similar to Securities National Bank of Los Angeles or something like that. It's a little hard to make out. But this building was a bank, and this is it. Again, these photos were taken back in 1954, and so much time has passed, but I'm pretty certain that this window right here is the one that can be seen behind Vampira, as she was photographed right there in the street. And if you look at the stonework on both sides of the window, right over there and right here, it pretty much matches up. Another spot that I wanted to try to find here on the corner is where the bench was in the photo. But of course, you guessed it, so much has changed that it's impossible. I mean, the sidewalk is new, especially with all the Walk of Fame stars. But somewhere around here is where it was. This building is even listed as a Hollywood Historic Site, Security Trust and Savings. I love that they do this. So you can actually follow a trail. Let's see, Cecil B. DeMille got financing and Howard Hughes kept his jewel collection here. Oh, that's neat. I hate reading signs in the videos, but if you paused it or had the opportunity to read that sign, people like Wyatt Earp and Charlie Chaplin and the Three Stooges all had bank accounts here. Well, they maintained accounts here. Right there in the center of your screen is the bank building that we were just pointing out. And if we look directly across the street, you're going to see this very unique Art Deco building. Now, this is the building where everybody gets wrong whenever they're trying to track down the Vampira photos. Now, in the one where she's leaning out of her car trying to scare the kids, you can see this building with a curved sign behind her that says Al Drugs. Now, obviously, this has a curved portion of the building. It looks like it would match up, but it doesn't. Now, you see that tower that's on the right. Honestly, it kind of looks like it's going to fall over. I think it's leaning a little bit. In the photos, in the the way the building originally looked, it was on the left-hand side and it was much smaller. So you got to pay attention to the details. This is not where that photo was taken. Also, across the street from that picture, if you look at it very closely, it looks like there's a garage, like a gas station. There's another photo from a different angle that shows a mobile gas. That's not here, because that's where the bank building is. Back up a little bit so you can take it all in. Just a heads up. We are going to go to the real location though, the actual location. So what's that? Our second photo location for our Vampira video? Trust me, there's plenty more. It's just, I also pull a lot of inspiration from street art like this back here. I saw them maintaining this. Let me get this, try to get it centered. And I've been wanting to get it in the video, one of the videos. Yeah, see, that's a lot of fun. And now it's on to our next photo location. And for this, we gotta get back in the car. We have to head over to where Tower Records once stood. Our story goes before Tower Records. See, Hollywood history. I know this is a video about Vampira, but you have to remember, we're in Hollywood, so we're gonna run into some Hollywood history. There's a plaque here on the wall that says Chaplin, Keaton, and Lloyd Alley. 3 different movies, The Kid, Cops, and Safety Last, 1921, 22, and 23. All were filmed in this alleyway. We can't get into it. And they have, well, it looks like, let's turn the camera down this way a little bit. Can't really see in there. There we go. It looks like it's seating for a restaurant right now. Sometimes you can get back inside these things. When you think about it, it's not really a side adventure. It's more just things you find along the way. One of the reasons I love living here, one of the reasons why I've always wanted to live here in Hollywood, is because I love history and I love movies. Take a look at that billboard there. Into BDSM, blasting, depressing, sad music. Man, I feel catfished. I'm not gonna lie, I got sidetracked by the BDSM billboard, which wasn't for what it stands for. Curiosity. This is not a promotional piece for whatever that is, but I was coming over here because of this beehive on the wall. There are some bees more down that way, but there's people down there. It kind of gives me Candyman vibes, doesn't it? If you find yourself in Los Angeles, do yourself a favor. Visit what you want, but also take the time to just kind of go and explore. I just found this place and it is amazing. It's called Space Booth LA. It's kind of like a phone booth, or like a photo booth, I guess you should say. You can come in here and get some pictures with some pretty awesome stuff. Speaking of Tim Burton's Ed Wood, they have the Mars Attacks alien on the wall. It is massive. Now, what's really interesting about this place, even if you don't use or partake cannabis, you can come here, you can order it, and they bring it out to you. But they also have some pretty sweet merchandise. Again, this is not sponsored by this place, it just kind of came across them. But they have merch, and I need a t-shirt. You can't tell me that that is not cool. And here's some of the merch that they have. Right? How freaking cool is this? Right now I'm at the corner of Horn Avenue and Sunset Boulevard, to where the old Tower Records building used to stand, an iconic record store here in LA that's sadly no longer here. Today, you can still see the skeleton of the store, but it's now Supreme, which is a clothing brand from New York. So Tower Records used to stand here, but way before that, there was a drive-in restaurant here. There were tons of drive-in restaurants here in LA, but the one that was particularly here was one called Dolores Drive-In. And this is where our next photo location is. Now there's something very interesting about this intersection that you can't see unless you look at it from up above, like an aerial shot. Right there in the center of your screen is a little triangular island. It's got Rocky and Bullwinkle right there in the center. There's plants and then a sidewalk. Keep that in mind when you look at this picture. I don't know when it was taken, but it's an old photo before this whole area was developed. Yeah, crazy, right? And then here's the intersection again. It's crazy how things change. Which brings us right back around to Dolores Drive-In. This building right here. See what I did there? Completely all the way around. During Vampira's Hearst tour back in 1954, she actually stops at Dolores Drive-In and grabs a bite to eat. And the photographer captures her. And there's people in a car next to her watching this whole thing unfold. I mean, come on, 1954, and you have somebody spooky like Vampira driving around Hollywood and Beverly Hills. People are going to notice. Now, there are other photos that weren't published from a different angle. That's how we know we're in the right spot. If we walk over this way towards the back of the building, see where it says Supreme? Right about there is where Dolores Drive-In was standing. And then you see that embankment over there. Now, in doing research, a lot of people got this location wrong too. They said it was Carpenter's Drive-In, which was further down in Hollywood, near Hollywood and Vine, where we were earlier. But there's no embankment. This is where those photos were taken. And here's the picture that was unpublished, but kind of lets us know we're in the right spot. Oh, would you look at this? We're finding all of the spooky stuff today. Here's the tarot card advertisements for the street for the new Haunted Mansion that comes out July 28th. Again, not sponsored by it in any way, shape, or form. But this is fun. I love the artwork for this. I'm really excited. I kind of want them all. Right? I don't know how you guys feel about the Haunted Mansion movie with Eddie Murphy, but Jessica and I, we love it. And we actually quote it quite a bit. In fact, every time we talk about buying a house, we always reference the movie saying we got to make sure that it has enough plugs. Yeah, that and the Happy Anniversary song. Stupidly excited for this. If we had to choose just one poster though for the house, I think it would have to be this one. Yeah, that's really slick. The next stop on our Vampira photo locations tour brings us to the Fairfax neighborhood. Right now I'm pretty close to the Academy Museum as well as the Peterson Automobile Museum. So much has changed, but this used to be called Miracle Mile. So let's get the lay of the land. Back in 1954, this looked absolutely nothing like this. This building that's red and silver, this is the Peterson Automotive Museum. We were there, we did a video on it. This office building over here wasn't there back in 1954. I think maybe that white building right down there was. This coffee shop restaurant definitely wasn't. But a complete 360. This is the Academy Museum. This was here, and I got pictures to prove it. I have a feeling that this is going to blow your mind. It might not, but if you're anything like me and you love this kind of stuff, history, you're going to love this. What you're looking at right now is a very, very old picture of this intersection. You can see that building right there. That's the Academy Museum before it became the Academy Museum. And then you see that building that's off in the distance that has that, I guess it's wine advertisement on the top. It's like a dome. You can see that in a lot of photos back in the day, including a picture I'm about to show you with Vampira. And this is how that intersection looks today, 2023. The Academy Museum is still there. And this time we have a new building, the Automotive Museum. And then remember that building with the alcohol advertisement on the top? It's long gone. Now here's the kicker. So we went from really old, I'm guessing like maybe the 20s, the 30s to 2023. Let's go to 1954 to the picture with Vampira. Now hopefully I'm not making you dizzy with all this flipping between picture and picture, but this is the photo of Vampira at this intersection. You can't see the Academy Museum building, it's just off frame to the left, but she's parked right up against the sidewalk and there's a little boy coming up to the car to greet her. You can't see the Automotive Museum, but you can see that building off in the distance that's no longer there that has the alcohol advertisement on it. But here, check this out. You can see the Fairfax Avenue sign And then you see that building way off in the distance right there? All right, now let's switch back to present. I haven't moved the camera at all. You can see the Fairfax Avenue sign right there. And then that building that can still be seen today from 1954 to 2023 is now the SAG-AFTRA building. Pretty cool, right? And with that, we have one more photo location to see, and it's the big one. Probably the most famous photo that was taken that day back in 1954. For this, we got to go over to Beverly Hills. Right now, I'm walking up North Beverly Drive in Beverly Hills to what was back in 1954 address 262 North Beverly Drive. The building is no longer there. Everything on this road has been completely revamped. So much so that, remember that building at the very beginning of the video I pointed out right on Hollywood Boulevard, the one where everybody gets it mixed up? It's the wrong location. Well, this is the right location. Kind of have to use your imagination for this one. Before I show you how this street looks today, I want you to take a really good look at this picture. You can see Vampira leaning out of the back of the hearse, scaring the little girls. And then look off in the distance in the background, you can see the building that says Al Drugs. It's a curved building. That's 1954. Thanks to official Vampira.com, Johnny Coffin, he sent us over some of the unused pictures, and in one of those, you actually see the address of where the photo was taken. Johnny Coffin sent over two photos that I've never seen before. The first one is behind a group of onlookers watching as Vampira is sitting in the back of the convertible hearse. And behind them, you can see the Al Drug Store. And then in the second photo, it's Vampira kind of like leaning over into the front seat talking to the driver. And you can see a store called Barron's and the address 262 North Beverly Drive. Type in that address 262 North Beverly Drive into the GPS. It brings us right here to this. And Barron's would have been standing right between Sephora and Arthur Miller Dance Studio, which means if we look right over here across the intersection, what is now a Pottery Barn of all things, this is where the Al Drug Store behind Vampira once stood. So I'm guessing from right about here, what I consider one of the most famous, if not the most famous picture ever taken of Vampira was taken from right about here. With the Al Drug Store in the background. She would have been parked right about there, scaring the little girls. My mind is officially blown right now. You see that building in the center of your screen? You see the side of it, how you can see the painted sign on it? It says Dennison Lewis Incorporated. Let me zoom in a little bit. That looks almost identical to the building that can be seen in the photo. Not the one that was used in the Life magazine, but the one that was kind of like the throwaway pictures. In that, if you look very closely behind the mobile gas sign, you can see an apparel sign that says Dennison Lewis Distinctive Apparel right now. And then right below that, a sign that says Ima's 14 Carat Shop. I really wonder if that's a jewelry sign on the bottom of that. Standing here in the alleyway, it looks like we can get back and get a closer look at that wall. It's gotta be from the picture. If not, it's pretty darn close, which means that right over here, this whole section, this is where the filling station would have been, or whatever it was. It was a mobile gas station, and I do believe there's another picture that I saw at one point. I'll try to find it and put it in here, where it talks about alignments. So not only was it a gas station, but it was a place where you can go get your car fixed. And it had to have been pretty big. I mean, this whole section of it. Oh man. All right, let's go check it out. Let's see if we can get in there. So I turn the corner and I find this, and the guys working the site were kind enough to let me on here to take a look at it. And upon closer inspection, I don't know if this is the exact side of the building. 1954 to 2023, a lot can happen. And but what's really cool is you can see the painted signs, Dennison Lewis, Distinctive Apparel and Accessories, like I was pointing out. And right below it, I was hoping it was going to say like a gold shop, like 14 karat gold or IMAs, but instead it says the Beverly Hills Gramophone Shop. Man, that's pretty wild. Even if this is not the exact side of the wall that we're looking for, it's still pretty cool to actually be standing in the middle of history being made, things being torn down and rebuilt bigger and better. That's the way life is. And with that being said, thank you for joining us on another Grimm adventure, this time tracking down the photo location from 1954 of Vampira. Until next time, happy Halloween.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always a coming